All right, welcome everyone to the Modern Day Overthinker podcast. I'm your host, Colin Strayjack, and today we have a truly inspiring episode lined up for you. Joining me is Kat Button, a passionate music educator from the UK who has not only dedicated her life to teaching music to young minds, but also uses her own experiences to create powerful music that speaks to mental health awareness. In this episode, Kat experience Kat shares her journey of overcoming challenges, including her OCD diagnosis, and how she channels her experiences into her music. We'll dive into her creative process, the making of her concept album, Refocus, and the importance of finding humor and connections and raising awareness about mental health. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired by Kat's story and her mission to break down the stigma surrounding mental health. Let's All right. Well, welcome everyone to the Modern Day Overthinker podcast. My name is Colin and I'm your host. This week's episode is with Kat Button. Kat, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you, Colin. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for dealing with my scheduling conflicts. I feel like I've repeated that a couple times recently. I'm just getting back into recording 2026. I took a little break there with the holidays and everything going on, but it's good to be back recording, and it's always cool to be recording with somebody that's thousands of miles away from me at the same time. So, and you're coming to me from the UK, and I don't even know what time it is there.
It's 9:10 in the evening at the moment.
Oh,
Kids have gone to bed, so
okay,
husband's watching telly, and I'm here recording. So yeah,
nice. I
it's
like how you guys say telly. I love that because we just say TV, but uh, but yeah, it sounds way cooler, way more fun. But yeah, I appreciate you being with me today. I wanted to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to my listeners so they have a good idea, a decent idea of who you are, what you do, and then we can kind of dive into some of the subjects we were talking about before we started recording here.
great. Well, thank you. So my name is Kat. I do indeed live in the UK. I'm in a place called Southampton, which is near the New Forest, reasonably near London, and it's a lovely place to live. I am a music educator, so I teach music to primary school children, so I'd say elementary age where you are, so
Okay,
ages 7 to 11,
gotcha.
and absolutely love it. It's wonderful. Outside that, I make music for fun. I think it's really important to make music for yourself as well as make music as your job.
Hmm.
So I play several instruments. I sing clarinet, bit of saxophone, piano, ukulele, a few other random things. Mini
Nice.
bassoon, which I had to learn as part of the job once, which is really random, but
Okay.
I'm up to try everything. Um, and I write songs about my mental health journey and mental health recovery in order to encourage people to learn more about the reality of mental health because there's so much stigma around.
Oh yeah.
And as a sufferer of it, it's really annoying. So if I can do my little bit to decrease that even by one person, then job done. I also recently released an album called Refocus, which dropped 19th September 25, which documents from diagnosis all the way through to living life again, being not totally recovered because I don't feel like I've ever
That's
walked
not a thing.
up, no, able to function and live
Yeah.
life normally. So it goes 10 tracks from diagnosis through other things like anxiety and loneliness and all kinds of things to things that you can do in order to improve your mental health and enjoy life.
It's a true album, so it, like, takes you
Yeah,
through
yeah,
that.
the proper concept album, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love that 'cause, it's not to sound like an old man, even though I'm not an old man, but, like, albums are not the same as they used to be.
No, they are not, and not many people do them. So I've got quite a few musician friends, and when I said to them that I was going to create an album, their first response was, "Why?"
Yeah, yeah, why? You don't need to do that anymore, you can just throw out singles.
Yeah, but I think for me, it made sense being
Yeah,
a concept album because as a songwriter, I like telling stories anyway, but because this is a story that can't be told with just one song, it needed several
yeah,
over an extended amount of time.
yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, I, like I was telling you before we started recording, like, I I used to record hip hop music, and I've always wanted to do an album. That's like on it's still on my bucket list. Like we were talking about bucket list, that was
Mm.
on your bucket list to do the
Yeah.
album. And I could tell like when you were talking about it, you're like how like proud of yourself you were, which is awesome.
No,
Uh
thanks. I was really proud. I still couldn't believe it. I still can't believe I've done
yeah,
it.
like I did it. I did that. All
Yeah.
right. Cool. Yeah. And you just started recording yourself singing and doing playing instruments and all that good stuff just like a year ago, right? Like well, as far as for working on the
Well, songwriting, yes.
songwriting, yeah.
Yeah, so I first went into a recording studio, actually recording my vocals
Yeah.
professionally in was it September 2023? So
Okay.
that was when I started. I mean, I've been singing obviously and writing songs for
Yeah.
years and years, but actually recording vocals and having somebody mix and master my tracks, that was September 2023.
Okay. Did you ever do any, like, stuff for anyone else's album or, like, any, like, writing or anything like that, ghostwriting, stuff like that?
No, no, not really. I tend to do everything myself. So
Okay.
I sing, I do all the backing vocals, I do the synths, I do the piano. The person who owns the studio that I go to record the vocals, he sometimes plays guitar and
Okay.
bass. I don't play those, although I am learning.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I have kind of experimented a little bit with doing some co-writing and collabing with people.
Yeah.
For the album, I felt it needed to be just me
Oh,
because
yeah. Yeah.
I'm the one that was going through everything. It it seemed a bit odd
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, I'm writing a song about intrusive thoughts. Do you want to collab with me?" It's like it
No, no, I was more saying, like, you writing for other people, like, in previously, like, before you started writing for yourself. That's what I was
um,
getting at.
oh, no, sorry. No, I haven't. I think the closest would have been in my role as a teacher,
Okay.
writing songs for choirs because I've run choirs
Yeah.
for years. So in that respect, I'd be
Okay.
writing songs for them to sing, but not other people, no.
So this is when you started. We were like, okay, I have a story. I have some things to talk about. We're gonna write about me for once, and
Yeah, yeah.
we're gonna focus on that. Yeah, and yeah, I wanted to. We might as well dive right into it. But you talked about getting an OCD diagnosis. When did you get the OCD diagnosis?
I was diagnosed September 2004. I
Okay.
don't know about you, but I always find that monumental diagnoses always happen during transitions. So this particular transition time was when I had just finished my music degree at university.
Okay.
I was planning the summer with my friends and thought, "Oh, let's all stay in our house together and have a fun summer before we do our, teacher training and whatever master's courses we were doing."
Yeah.
And it was literally about 4 days after I graduated when I realized that something wasn't right.
Okay. You just got hit hard.
Yeah. I think OCD is something that I have had from the age of 4, but
Okay.
it wasn't something that was stopping me from doing things. It wasn't something that was stopping me from functioning. It kind of bubbled in the background
It was lingered in the
yeah,
background. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
until that point where it was just bam and,
Yep, usually it takes something like a
mm,
transition or some type of like from for me, it was a big transition because I was going through puberty, and that's when it hit me,
Right.
13, 14, just like, whoa, what is this? And it took a little while to figure out what it was, because it wasn't something like somebody in my family really had.
Mm.
Um, we thought like, and we didn't have a really good understanding of OCD, like most people still don't, and that's why I like talking about it. But yeah, it was just like, I first actually got diagnosed bipolar, which didn't make any sense. And my parents were like, we know
Right.
that's not right. So I went
Mm.
to a different doctor, and they were like, and actually we had a good conversation. And, because the first doctor, within like 15 minutes, she was like, yep, he's bipolar. I'm like, really? Like that quick? It was like the flavor of the month that it seemed to be like they were
Mm.
just diagnosing people bipolar a lot at that time. I don't know. But I finally saw somebody that were like, you have OCD. And then I had to learn all about it because I didn't really know what it was. I didn't know what was going on inside my head. Like a lot of learning. And especially at that time period, everything's just confusing. And it's just a lot going on. And that time period you're talking about is also very confusing and a lot going on
Mm.
because you're like trying to be a real adult and like,
Mm.
like figure out what you're doing with your life and your career and all that good stuff. That's a big transition. So that definitely makes sense. Yeah, I've heard it hit people at different times, but it's usually not like, like randomly they're like, at their job like of 20 years and they're just like, oh, I have OCD. No,
Mm.
it doesn't really happen that way. Um, so if you don't mind me asking, was it more of like a is it more of like a mental, like a pure OCD, or like more of a like ritual, or how would you categorize your OCD? You don't have to get too specific because some people don't like talk about the
Yeah, no,
specifics.
okay. So when I was diagnosed, it was predominantly the intrusive thoughts, so the
Okay.
puro. Although previously I have had rituals and routines with checking things, but
Yep.
that really stuck out was the fact that the thing that was different was the intrusive thoughts. That was the
Yeah.
biggie. And then obviously going into therapy, we addressed the rituals and the checking and all and everything else that I had done beforehand as well.
Okay. And yeah, so that was the stuff that was kind of in the background that you were like able to deal with. It was just annoying.
Mm.
And then once the intrusive thoughts came in, you're like, oh, I can't like function
No,
properly.
no, not at all.
Yeah. And was it like a therapy session or like a psychiatrist, or I don't know how, if you guys are, if it's one and the same over there. We have it separately. Like there's a therapist and then there's a psychiatrist. Then, when it comes to like who's doing what, it's usually like you have to have a team of some sort. But just curious how, and also with mental health in general, like access to mental health care, like
Mhm.
how is that in your area? Because in the States, it's very weird. It depends on where you're located. Like you could have to like, that's why virtual therapies become such a like an awesome outlet for people,
Mm.
because like for example, from where I'm at, you're familiar with the International OCD Foundation.
Mhm.
So therapists can get certified through them.
Mhm.
And when I was looking for a new therapist, a couple of years ago, well, a little over like a year and a half ago, I was trying to find somebody that was certified, and there
Mm.
was nobody in my area that was
Really?
certified. So I had to go the virtual route and find somebody who was licensed in my state, because you have to be licensed in the state
Mm.
in every state you practice in, regardless of where you are located, but where your patient physically is located. And since I'm located in Iowa, my therapist had to be licensed in the state of Iowa, and she actually lives in Illinois. Like I was telling you earlier, I'm right on
Mm.
the Mississippi River. I could be in Illinois, but she actually lives closer to Chicago than she lives close to me. Like, so she's a couple hours away, and I had to go do that, but I didn't know how the access to care and how things were where you're located as far as, being able to find a therapist if there's a long wait or how that is over there. Cause I know over here it's for lack of a better word, it's kind of a shit show. um, it's just the way it is over here.
Yeah, I mean, because it escalated and became really bad before I started a new postgraduate
Mm,
course, I didn't wanna hang about. So my parents very kindly offered to pay for treatment.
okay.
I didn't want to go on the NHS because the waiting list was long, and I felt like I didn't have the time. I wanted to
Can
start.
you explain NHS for me?
Sorry, National Health Service.
Okay. Yeah,
Sorry.
we don't know that.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, so with the National Health Service, you can get things like therapy on the NHS, but there are huge waiting lists.
Mm,
And yeah, I think that from experience, I mean, it's amazing, but I think sometimes if you want more specialized therapy, sometimes it is useful to go privately.
yeah.
So, a bit like you, really, I went on this UK database of cognitive behavioral therapists, found one, it kind of in my area. I mean, I didn't drive at that point, so I'd had quite a long round trip after uni to get there and back, but it was
Mm,
completely worth it. So yeah, I went the private route because I wanted to finish this course. I didn't want this disorder to force me to quit, which it nearly did several times, but
mhm.
it didn't.
Let's talk about that email. You said something about an email before we got
Oh,
on.
it's so weird. So I so when I trained to be a teacher in the UK, you can train to be primary or secondary teacher. I wanted to train to be a secondary teacher because I wanted to specialize in music.
Mhm,
And here you go to two placement schools as well as going to the university to do your courses and lectures and stuff. And I went to my first school and I mean I didn't enjoy it in the slightest. It was very tricky.
mhm.
The OCD was, yeah, alive and kicking,
Yeah,
and I thought this is
loud.
just, yeah, oh, horrific. And I went home and I phoned up my parents and I said, "I think I'm gonna have to leave. I'm gonna have to quit. This isn't working. As much as I don't want to, I just can't do this now."
Mhm.
So I typed up this letter to my tutor saying I was gonna leave the course, tried to send it and it wouldn't send. Sent an email to my dad, sent first time, sent an email to my friend, sent first time, sent a message or tried to send a message to my tutor, wouldn't send. I was like, "This is really weird."
Yeah.
And I kind of sat with my cup of tea and I kind of reflected and I was like, "I don't want to leave. I don't
Mhm,
want to because I really want to do this." But what I did do was take a week out. So I stayed off for a week, just try to gather my thoughts a little bit,
yeah.
try and work out how frequently I could go to therapy to potentially speed up progress, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And just try and work out what it is I wanted. What did I want to achieve? Could I still finish this course and not let the intrusive thoughts win, I guess? And
Yeah.
I didn't want them to, but I think having that week out was really important because it gave me the space to reevaluate everything and to really get on top of my therapy regime and planning on when I could go. And during that week, I went more. So that was quite useful.
Okay. Uh, so you suck it out. So the email was just basically a sign like, okay, I guess I I guess I'm gonna
It,
keep going.
Yeah, it's funny because I think, yeah, I mean, I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad it didn't send, and I'm
Mhm.
glad I stuck it out.
Yeah. 'Cause yeah, I mean, it's very easy to I mean, OCDs can be very debilitating,
Mm,
so it's one of those things where it's just like it's so loud, like, you can't focus on anything else,
no,
like, that's what's going on, and it's, yeah, and that's why I like talking about it, 'cause it's, people I'm sure it's the same over there as it is here. People hear OCD and they're like, "Oh, it's quirky," it's like cleaning and like, being tidy and things like that, and almost makes it sound like a good thing. And that's not the case like 99% of the time. Um I mean, I know some people that like ridiculously like were very obsessed with like germs and cleaning and things
mm,
like that, and like they would clean their apartment for 2 hours a day every day, like very like compulsively. That's a
sure.
little different.
Yep.
um and they didn't do that just because they liked things tidy. They did it because they like thought something bad was going to happen,
Yeah.
or thought like
Yeah.
something catastrophizing was going to happen. And the catastrophizing, that's the biggest thing that I
Mm,
dealt with, and I've always dealt with, is like I always feel like I'm going to like the intrusive thoughts, like, oh, you're going to do something that's going to alter your life forever or going to ruin everything, and then you're not going to be able to come back from it, and like just like this huge like catastrophization. I don't know if you can relate to that at all.
yeah,
uh,
definitely.
but is that kind of how it started? Was it kind of just like was like, this is a little bit more than a worry. This is like
Oh,
really sticky.
yeah, and massively inducing. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's an anxiety disorder, but it was just the anxiety was just unbearable as a result of the thoughts. And I think, like you said, Colin, the thing that used to really annoy me about having OCD is the fact that it's invisible to everybody else and misunderstood.
Hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I just feel for a lot of my life that I've felt really misunderstood. And the fact that at this point where things had drastically gone downhill temporarily, I felt even more misunderstood at a time when I needed to be understood.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. It's it's weird. It's like a missing puzzle piece type of thing.
Mm,
And,
definitely.
and it's something like we were saying here earlier, like you said recovered. And I'm like, oh wait, recovering, because it's not it's like almost like I don't like to compare it to cancer because cancer is obviously very serious and fatal, but to put it in that same lens, like you can kind of be in like remission from OCD, but it's always there. It's always hanging out.
Yeah.
Um, and it's very comparable to like I'm in re- I'm in recovery. I have been clean for a decent amount of time now, and throughout that time, I've noticed a lot of similarities with addiction and OCD,
Mm,
mainly on the fact that I'm never going to be recovered. Like it's always recovery, not recovered. I'm always gonna have to keep working on this. I'm not gonna have this thing beat. I've heard a lot of people say like, and I think it goes hand in hand with OCD, is like I'm either going to die from this disease or with this disease.
mm,
And I feel, and they were talking about addiction, but I feel like that can be the same with OCD and other type of disorders as well, bipolar, you name it. They can fall under that category as well, because it's like you never really have it fully beat. And I don't know about you, like if you ever have times where you're having a really good day and you don't even really know how to function because you're like,
Mm,
I haven't had this good of a day in a while. Like, what do
yeah,
I
yeah,
like? When's the other shoe gonna drop? Where OCD's like, oh, never mind, we're back, and yeah, you almost don't even know how to function because you're just in fight or flight mode all the time,
yeah.
and then when you're not in that mode, you're just like, oh, this is weird. I like it, but I don't know how to. I gotta adjust dealing with it, basically.
Sure, and all it takes is for tiredness or s food that
Yep.
either too much caffeine or whatever it is for things to come back, but obviously the therapy tools help you to manage the OCD. It's not a permanent cure. It doesn't go away completely. It's just a management tool that allows you to function in a way where you can live your life again. Well, that's for me anyway,
Oh
what it's
yeah,
like.
yeah. It's staying ahead of it is very important. Like, yeah, if you start falling back into bad habits, like with me, like sometimes I can do, whether that's oversleeping, overeating, yeah, too much caffeine. Uh, Energy drinks are a vice for me sometimes. Um, I think they're more regulated where you are. Here, it's not good.
Yeah.
But it's it's like one of those things. It's like, yeah, I'll take what I can get to get me, trying to feel a little bit different or away from uh how I'm feeling because I don't know how to manage it. I'm better at managing it now. There's some scenarios where I'm like, I feel stuck, and I'm really lucky. I have a really good therapist that I can reach out to. Like, even when you don't have a session, like I can just text her,
Mhm.
and yeah, she's really cool, and she works for herself, and that's what I want to do as well. And you were talking about earlier. You're like, I don't know, when we were talking about songwriting before we started recording, and you're like, yeah, I felt like this was a good time to start, and and also at the same time, it's like, is this a good time to start? Because you don't
Mhm.
really, there's really not like that time where you're gonna be like 100% like, this is it. I have to do it now. Like, it doesn't really work that way. Um, and that's how I feel about like going back to school and getting my license so I can be a therapist. Because here in the US, like I went to 4 years of university. I got a bachelor's degree,
Mhm.
and in order to be a licensed therapist, you have to get a master's degree. So I got a
Right,
couple
okay.
couple more years of school I got to go through in order to do that, and then obviously it's like job shadowing and getting hours and
Yeah.
things like that. So that I'm kind of like, it's kind of like up here right now, and I'm kind of waiting for it to go a little bit further down so I
Mhm.
can be like, okay, I think I can handle this right now. But I'm trying to get that point, and you said that, talked about that um earlier when we were talking before we were recording about you being, there and being where you want to be for your kids as a parent.
Mhm.
And I kind of feel the same way because I don't have any kids currently.
Mhm.
So the way I look at it is I want to be more prepared to eventually, be a parent, but also to be a therapist and
Mhm.
to be there for my patients. Uh, and I gotta fix me first, not fix me. I'm never gonna be fixed, but at least be better put together so
Yeah.
I can be in a better position to help people.
Sure, focus on yourself first. It's so easy to not focus on yourself, especially
Oh,
when
I'm really good at it.
when
Yeah.
you're the kind of person, I guess, like you said, with what you'd like to do and being a therapist and, my job helping people, helping teach children. I think in our nature we want to help others, but actually sometimes we need to step aside sit down and just be like, no, we need to look at ourselves first. And it's easily done because life's so busy,
Yes.
things are going on all the time, and it's so easy to forget about yourself sometimes.
Very easy to forget about yourself. And it's easy to distract yourself with other people's stuff.
Mhm.
And I got to be really good at that. My therapist has called that out. She's like, "Hey, how's Colin doing?" Like,
Yeah.
you're talking about all this stuff with other people, and which is great, like, but you need to take that time to focus on you and what you wanna do and what's important and what you want to focus on, and so, yeah, I actually have homework from my therapist that just popped into my head about what I need to do, um, before our session. I have a session with her Tuesday, and, like, she sent me a shared notes on I don't know if if you're an iPhone user or not, but she sent me, like, a shared note of, like, instructions and, what to do, and, um the last session we met, she's like, "Have you even looked at that yet?" I'm like, "No." I'm honest, like, I was like, little things like that. I've been working on other stuff, like challenging my OCD,
Yeah.
with, not avoiding things, and, yeah, showing up, trying to be in the moment, not living inside my head, grounding,
Yeah.
breathing exercises. Yeah, you're like, "I've heard all this." But, yeah, you can only work on so many things at one time, and, it's good to have, like, a focus of what you're really trying to rein in on, and that's what I'm trying to do right now because I've just been busy with a lot of stuff, family stuff, and, you know, life's still gonna happen, and you have to figure out a way to carve time for yourself so you can work on the things that you need to work on, and it's not selfish, it's just I mean,
Necessary.
it's it's just necessary. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely essential. Yeah, absolutely agree with you. It's essential, and I've learned recently that it doesn't matter what is going on in your life, there is always time to focus on yourself, even if it's 5 minutes a day.
Yeah,
There's 20, I mean, I know a lot of the time we're asleep, but, like, in an average day, you've got 15, 16 hours. We can all spend 5 minutes doing some mindfulness or breathing exercises or something, or watching some TV for a bit or whatever it is there. And I think with my ADHD as well, time perception is something that I struggle with.
mm,
I'm not late. I mean, as someone with ADHD, I'm on time to things, but I struggle with whether I have enough time in the day to do something.
yeah,
For example, if I've got appointments or I've got things planned in a day, it's like if I do this at such and such a time and I do this at such and such a time, can I have time in the middle to do something else? And the answer is yes, because it's 5 minutes.
yeah,
5 minutes, just have a cup of tea and just breathe or do some mindfulness or, just be in the room, just be in my living room and just be, because I think I don't notice a lot of stuff. I kind of go at a million miles an hour and I don't often just sit in the lounge and just be and just listen to the ticking of the clock or listen to the humming of the light or whatever's going on. But I need to do that more because it's actually very, very helpful for me.
yeah. Is besides we'll get into the music stuff here shortly, but as far as like exercises or grounding techniques that you've learned, what are some of your go-tos that seem to have worked for you when it comes to dealing with the anxiety or the OCD, which is anxiety OCD combo?
Yeah. So for me, the mindfulness. So when I used to have therapy sessions, they'd light a candle and my mind wanders quite a bit. And
Mhm.
she would always say, bring your attention back to the candle.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a well documented strategy, but it works
Yes.
really well, especially, say, at night. I don't know if you have this, but at night, my mind is usually a lot louder, and going to sleep using this kind of mindfulness techniques, body scanning, she would say. So
Yeah.
basic, you know, close your eyes and just kind of, you know, focus on your elbow and then focus on your arm, and it works. It chills me out, as well as obviously the actual breathing exercises. And I think, like you said, it's just grounding and being mindful that massively helps me.
Yeah, the grounding techniques are huge. I've been doing a lot of, my thing is belly breathing. Have you
Mhm.
heard that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Been
yeah.
doing a lot of belly breathing. I've also, noticed I need to go back to the gym because my belly's getting a lot bigger. But, um, uh, the humor is a deflection for me. Whenever I tell jokes, it's
Oh,
like a
me too.
deflection.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I'm exactly the same.
Throw throw a little joke in there. Um, and but yeah, humor is also very important too. Like you have to be able to like laugh about stuff, otherwise you're not going to be able to get through it. I strongly
Exactly.
agree
No,
with
I'm
that.
with you there. And I think also when you're trying to raise awareness about mental ill health, I mean, my Instagram page is completely ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
I talk about really, like, I do have my sensible moments, Colin. I'm kind of holding it in today. I'm actually being quite sensible. But then I just have moments where, my husband doesn't think I'm very funny, but I do try and bring humor to spreading awareness, because
Yeah.
people do like humor, they like to laugh. And actually, if I if I did a page on Instagram or TikTok, and it was like really doom and gloom and just a monotone voice just
Yeah.
talk what happened, I don't I think I might just have like 2 followers, probably my next
Yeah.
door neighbor and my dad, that, like, there wouldn't be I wouldn't have there wouldn't be as many people. So I think, like you said, it's very important, and it helps to break down the barriers of educating people. I think if you add humor in, it's the humor is something that people understand.
Mhm.
If you try and combine that with the educating about OCD, I think from my experience anyway, it's more likely that people will connect with what you're saying and take something away from it.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, whether that's humor or also like either with your outlet being music and writing about, your experience and doing, making creating an album about your experience, like from the beginning to where you're at right now. Describe to me a little bit about that process and what goes into making an album like that. Like, because it's obviously a lot of work, a lot of time, and you obviously have, a full time career. You're a parent. You're, your spouse. Like, you're a lot of these things, but
Mm,
you also want to carve out that time to do what you're really passionate about and really put out
mm.
a body of work that really aligns with what what you're trying to say.
Yeah, well, I work part-time, which helps.
That helps, yeah.
So I don't think I could have put an album out if
You're full time.
I was full-time.
Yeah.
And like you said, life is exhausting anyway.
Mhm.
When your mind is incredibly noisy, and you're dealing with the kind of the mental tug of war with the ADHD and the OCD and anxiety, that tires you out as well. So yeah, I work part-time, so that helps. Also, the album process was quite a slow one,
Mhm.
because the first single of the album was recorded September 2023. The album didn't release until September 2025. So it's interesting because I think listening to the album, you can tell that some of the songs were written later
Mm,
because I've had more time to hone my style, hone my songwriting technique,
yeah.
and I think I would probably do some things differently with the album. I would probably write more songs closer together so that it's a bit more similar in.
Fluid,
Yeah,
kind
but
of.
actually, I think because it's a story and it's a concept album, I think the fact that you have some tracks in there that are maybe more polished, more produced than others is
Hmm.
good because it kind of the main thing is telling the story, not so
Hmm.
much the production.
Yeah, the production. Yeah, the production you can get really obsessive about too.
Yeah, yeah, I
Like
think
the
so.
little things, like I don't like that echo, or like that little thing there, and you're like, like, and yeah, especially when it comes to like mixing and mastering.
Mm,
Um, that's why, like, yeah, it's when I did music, I was like I got to the point where like I couldn't mix and master my own stuff because I would be there for hours, like just
mm,
messing with stuff. I'm like, somebody else take this and just
yeah,
and just do what you need to do, because otherwise I would be like, I don't really like that or really like this, and it's like most people aren't going to hear that. You're going to hear that, but no one
yeah,
else is going to hear that. And it's the same way with like comedy. Like I'll be like, oh, why'd you like say that word, or you know say this, and or you shouldn't have took a pause there. Like people thought you were probably didn't know what you were doing, and it's like no, like as long as you can keep that rhythm going, and people don't notice the little things that you notice. But sometimes the little things are important too, so it's kind of find that balance is hard. um so was there like a point where you're like, okay, I had the album done, but I want to listen to it all the way through and see how it sounds,
yeah. A
and
lot of times, yeah, a lot of
multiple times? Yeah.
oh, many times. I think I kept on changing my mind about the order of the songs
Oh,
multiple times. I was like, "That has to go there," and then 2 days later, move it back again, and
yeah.
then because, I think I knew that it was kind of a story, but then, like I said before, there were times when the production of one track, which followed another track, was visibly different.
Mm.
So, for example, a track that was written and created 2 years ago would be less polished and, I suppose, good in a sense as a song that
However you
was.
want to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, that was the main thing. So yeah, like you said, listening to it multiple times and rearranging the order multiple times until I didn't wanna release the album and nearly threw my laptop out the window. So yeah, it's,
Yeah. Yep. Because you can just overanalyze it, and you're like, like, yeah, you could go through that shuffle
yeah, I'm
for
really good at overanalyzing things. That's one of my, yeah.
welcome to the podcast. Yeah, that's pretty much the reason behind the podcast is,
Yeah, 'cause
yeah,
I definitely overthink. I'm, yeah, as
yeah, and the modern day overthinker thing, yeah, that name just kind of stuck before I even long before the podcast existed. I used to like call myself that. I was like, and it was like but I don't like when people give themselves their own nicknames. But I guess that kind of is what happened in a sense. But I don't really like call myself that anymore. But um, it just made sense to me, and I also thought it sounded clever, so I
that's
just
very
rolled.
good. Yeah, it's good.
I just rolled with it. Yeah, and oh yeah, I yeah, overthinking such a part of my life, and it can get very, very distracting. It's also very mentally taxing, and it can
Yeah.
wear you out. And people don't even realize it. Like I could, you know, I could have a job where I'm like physically on my feet all day. Like I used to work retail.
Mhm.
You're on your feet all day, you're helping customers back and forth, and you kind of run around with it. Like if you're really busy, you're like running around with it like a chicken with their head cut off. Like you're just like all over the place. But now I have a job that's more mentally taxing. I work in customer service.
Okay.
So so I and I'm in management. So when you're talking to me, you're mad. Usually. Something's wrong. Like I don't take calls all day anymore.
Yeah.
Um it's usually like, Colin, this person's really upset. They need to talk to a supervisor, and then I talk to them. And that can be very mentally taxing, and dealing with that and not I've had to work on that because at first I was like, man, I would just dread talking to like people like that
Yeah.
that were upset, and now I just look at it, I'm like, look, like I try to look at it in their perspective. I'm like, why are they mad? Like, what's the problem here? How can I fix it? Sometimes I can't fix it. Sometimes I just have to be the bearer of bad news,
Mm.
and just not taking that personally and separating that. And like that's work. That's like, your job and what you're doing, and like, you know, you're not um like a lot of people I work with, and I'm not saying this to like out them or anything. They take the job with them when they leave. I work from home, so like my job's here all the time, but I have a separate room that I
Okay.
only go into when I'm working. And now I'm downstairs. I'm in my basement. This is my creative room.
Nice.
This is where and it's developing. I just refinished my basement, or half of it. So I'm still trying to figure out, because I haven't had a in-person podcast in a while, and I kind of got some like little soundboard things, or soundproofer things. I think I need to get some more of them though, but just for when people are down here. But yeah, I don't know where it's going with that, because I also have ADHD, so that happens. I just kind of get sidetracked, but
Yeah. Totally get it. We've stayed on track quite well, actually. I'm quite impressed, to be honest.
yeah,
We
we've done
haven't
a really good
deviated
job
too much.
having the brains that we have. It's it can be difficult, uh, but yeah, getting back into the music and the album, and we talked earlier, and you said something about performing live. So is that something that's still kind of a milestone that you're trying to accomplish, like doing more live, like performing live, like doing concerts, doing shows, things like that?
Um, well, when I was at university, I did a lot of performing because I
Okay.
majored in clarinet performance. So I have done a lot of performing previously, but when I started producing and writing songs, it was never for the intention of wanting to go out and gig.
Okay. Yeah. Makes
Because
sense.
yeah, because I think maybe if I was in my 20s and I'd started doing this, it may be different. But now with kids and I mean, I can't stay up too late these days.
Yeah.
And it was never the focus. However, doing that online gig for this conference was actually really, really cool. It was something that I could do at home. I didn't have to be up late.
Yeah.
And it was for people that they got it, they understood what it was about, and they appreciated it. With the nature of my songs, which is usually kind of EDM, electronic dance music now, I don't know if I could easily gig, nor would I really want to.
Mhm.
If somebody said to me, "Hey, I'm doing a festival, like a small festival in the daytime, could you do an acoustic set?" I would probably say yes, because
Mhm.
I do enjoy playing live. I would be terrified, I'm not gonna lie, only
Yeah.
because of the so For me, I really struggle obviously with my memory, having ADHD as well, and one of my big things is words.
Hmm.
So the OCD affects it as well. So it's oh, what if I forget the words? Everyone's gonna
Yeah.
stupid. I can't sing without the words. So whenever I record, I have the words with me because it doesn't matter if I have the words with me. Whereas if I am in front of a group of people, I would ideally want to have or not have the words in front of me, but my brain just freezes and I'm not sure that I'd be able to do that. And then my brain goes into a loop, like going over the words over and over and over again. And then I go over it so much, then I end up forgetting it anyway. So
Mm.
that will be something that I would like to do to challenge myself,
Yeah. It
just
is
not.
just not right now. But yeah, it is. Yeah. It's funny because when you're describing that, I think of it very similar. I mean, because performing's performing, for the most part. When it comes to comedy, I always worry about forgetting my jokes. I'm like, I'm gonna blank, and actually happened last night. I was able to pivot pretty
Mhm.
quickly, and then make fun of myself. I was like, oh, yeah, I used to do a lot of drugs, and like I just made fun of myself real quick, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, my brain's not exactly the way it should be, and I just kind of made fun of myself and made light of it, and then got into another joke. But yeah, it always worries me because, like, some, um, not all comedians, but it's kind of a depends on who you talk to. Like most comedians, not most comedians, like 50% of the time will have like some type of cheat sheet or like their phone or something like on the
Oh, really?
that
Interesting.
that's what the stool's for. Um,
Ah, right. Got yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's so like when they're going to take a drink, they don't necessarily need a drink. They need to look at their next joke or look at what they're doing
Got
next.
you.
Um, that's like a way to casually do that, especially if you're doing like a really long set. Um, but me, like, I'm still like with comedy, like, I guess this could be the same with music, but like, I'm only, I'm a little less than 5 years in, and that's like, I'm still like a baby. And
Mm,
when it comes to comedy, because comedy is like a real long game.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, I get
such
that.
a long, especially especially if you want to make any money. Like I don't even think about money when I do comedy. I'm just
Mm,
like, if I get money, it's a bonus. But
yeah.
like,
It's like with the music as well, absolutely. I mean, it's to raise awareness, but obviously you get royalties, but they're not gonna be massive, but it's just an added bonus, you know?
yeah, I'm definitely not. If I was doing comedy for the money, then I would be losing my mind because I don't make very much money doing comedy, which is fine. And I know that's a part of the game and it's a long game. And my biggest thing is like, how much can I get on stage? How much can I challenge myself? And I actually have had the thoughts that you were talking about, like obsessing over remembering. You're talking about lyrics, but my jokes and remembering my jokes and thinking I'm gonna blank out and look stupid, whatever. And there's been times where like it was like probably at least a couple months I hadn't done a show and I hadn't really done many mics. I was just busy with a lot of just personal stuff, life stuff, family stuff,
Course.
and I hadn't really been doing open mics and practicing and working on my material, and I hadn't been getting booked on shows, and I had a show on New Year's Eve, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna forget everything. I haven't done my set in a while, like, and I remember going up there and I had some notes and I didn't even like use them. I was just like, oh, I remember how to do this because I've done it
Mm,
many times before. And it was like using the old analogy of riding a bike. It was kind of like riding a bike
yeah.
again. And yeah, the more you do it, the more you're like, oh, yeah, because you're like me, you doubt yourself a lot. So you're like, I don't know. And then that night I really surprised myself. I was like, "Oh, I could." I was remembering jokes that I didn't even think I was gonna tell that night, like, just, like,
Mm.
out of nowhere, just based off of the audience response, I just, like, rolled with it, and that's kinda what I've learned that I have to do, like, it's, I'm not like a some people treat stand up like very scripted, and like they're like, I'm gonna tell this joke, this joke, this joke, this joke. I'm gonna end with this joke. I don't really do that.
No, great. Kind of
Because
yeah, sorry, I was just gonna say, I guess you feed off the
you
audience's
have to.
reaction.
You have to feed off the audience's reaction. And like last night when I performed, I had to do more pausing because I don't know what it was. There was this guy that had this awesome laugh, and it was the most contagious laugh. I wanna bring him everywhere. I wanna pay him to be at my shows and just be in the audience and laughing, like, laugh with I'm not gonna tell you when to laugh, but when that guy does laugh, like, it's, like, super contagious. So, like, I had to take, like, uh, laugh breaks, basically, like, I had to
Mm.
pause, like, more during my set, which is a good thing, but it's just like, "Oh, yeah, let's give them a little time to gather themselves before I get into the next ridiculous thing that I'm going to say." But yeah, with performing, it's just yeah, it's like with anything, it's just repetition, and you kind of get used to it, and also having OCD, like I don't think OCD is beneficial at in any point really, but the only thing I can think of that OCD benefits me in any shape or form is I know how to deal with fear.
Mhm.
Um, and the stuff I'm afraid of is not what a quote unquote normal person is afraid of.
Yeah.
Like people are always like, how can you perform or like tell jokes in front of, like whatever, 50 people, 100 people, whatever it is. And I'm just like, honestly, like that's like, it's an outlet. Like when I go on stage, I have to be in the moment.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you can relate to that as just like when you're recording and we're doing any type of thing with music, you have to be in the moment to be able to really deliver what you want to deliver. Otherwise it's gonna be awful.
Mhm.
It's just
Oh,
not gonna be
absolutely, yeah.
it's just not gonna be good. And that's therapeutic in itself because it's hard for people like us, the way our brains are wired, to stay in the moment and be grounded and not be thinking about the future or the past or worrying about like just something in the background. And that's why like people find creative outlets because it gets them into that focus where they can actually be present, and it's a grounding technique in itself.
Oh, absolutely. I do find that on social media, I've met quite a few songwriter friends on social media
Hmm.
that what they're trying to get out of writing and releasing songs is different to what I may be trying
Yeah,
to. So a lot of these people are drawn to getting a high amount of monthly listeners or a high amount of streams.
yeah, stats,
Oh, 100%.
which is cool, but what yeah.
Yeah. And I think me kind of being quite different in what I write about compared to a lot of the people that I know, it is kind of like this external noise which I have to block out or I have to refocus, hence the title of the album, have to refocus my attention to why I'm doing this
Hmm.
because otherwise the real purpose just gets lost.
Yep, yep. I totally get that. Yeah, the real purpose. Yeah, and then and then also like sometimes I'll get in my head too much. I keep comparing your performing to my performing, but it can be
Mm.
similar. Uh, but yeah, with comedy, I can get my head so much in like dude, like, you're a comedian. Why are you taking this so seriously?
Yeah.
like, like you could say, I mean, obviously you want to do a good job and, you don't want to be like up there, like just, with, no jokes or anything and just
Mm.
like, or doing crowd work the whole time, which seems to be a trend, but don't get me started on that. Like,
Friends. Oh, no, no, not
yeah, uh,
trends. Don't yeah, not got a lot of time for trends. I just no.
no, no, you're past that. You want to do what you want to do,
Yeah.
and and you're kind of like take it or leave it. This is my work. If you don't like it, don't listen to it.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'll be okay. That's how I feel about with comedy. I'm like, I'm gonna say what I want to say. Like I don't get booked on certain shows because I'm not clean enough or polished enough.
Yeah.
Um, and that's fine with me. Like I'm I don't want to be on shows where I have to like, like very what like basically like have a muzzle over what I'm going to say or like hold back what I want to say cuz I perform for adults. I don't perform for kids.
No.
That's just not my thing. I probably could like eventually um because kids are hilarious, but that's just not where I'm at right now. Like I can't like I know some people who do like PG-13 shows and things like that.
Yeah, they're quite common, aren't they? But yeah, it's if it's not your thing, then yeah, it's not your thing. That's
It,
fine.
it's just not my thing. Like I want to be able to let loose. I don't want to be able to have that barrier.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
because
get
that
that.
barrier will get in the way of, you know, my creativity or my goofiness, for
Mm.
lack of a better way to say it.
Yeah. I think also thinking about people that are always posting on social media about
Mm,
the number of streams that they've had.
yeah,
I mean, it's nice to get streams, but
yeah,
I think, well, I just had a message from somebody whose family member has really severe OCD, and what's the best way to get him help? Could you signpost me to a place where he could get help? Because I listened to one of your songs and identified
yeah,
a lot of the things that he's going through your music. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take your 1,000 monthly listeners and I will raise you with actually potentially helping somebody's life. I think I win. But it's important though. It's not about how many monthly streams. For some people it is, and I totally am okay with that. I
especially
fully.
if they're like need that to make a living, like
Yeah,
to pay.
exactly. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Whereas I think for me, I know that this is not my main job. This is just an an outlet, a way of expressing myself, and I have chosen to release the music
Hmm.
in the hope of maybe raising awareness
Yeah,
and helping to quash some stereotypes in my own little way. It's not about I couldn't care less if, I've got thousands and thousands of listeners because you could I call them empty streams. So you could have thousands of listeners, but they don't connect with your music
yeah,
or they don't understand the mission or the purpose behind it. Whereas getting that message, I did cry. I'm not gonna lie. I did cry, but it was like amazing. And, you know, this person got the help that they needed and they're doing
yeah.
really well now. So I'm like, amazing.
I feel the same way because I have gotten really because I've been doing the podcast for a little while now. So I'll get really in my head about like stats and listeners and, you know, why am I not like, you know, getting more like reviews on Apple like for my podcast and things like that. And it's like those little things like you're talking about, like those messages and people reaching out and people who like really connect with what you're doing. It's like quality over quantity is is
Oh,
really is really what it is. Because that's why I keep doing this. Because I'm like, yeah, this isn't like how I make a living. This isn't like, um, luckily I kind of have I hate throwing around the privilege word, but I have the privilege of doing that. Um, and having something else to, survive, financially. But, and it's kind of like I'm sure I'm not trying to assume anything, but like with me, like I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna do my creative stuff. I'm gonna do the podcasting. I'm going to do, occasionally doing, some creative, posting online, and also do my comedy. And if one of those ends up taking off and like I get a lot of views and get a lot of hits and people really, are really vibing with it, and I get lucky because there's so many of us out there. Um, that would be awesome. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to be mad if
yeah.
that happens. That's just a bonus. Like
Oh, absolutely.
if that kind of stuff happens. But for now, it's just like, yeah, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. If it takes off, it takes off. But I'll be fine. That's how I feel about it.
Oh, I'm with you totally. I mean, my kids do enjoy seeing which countries in the world my music has been streamed
That's
in.
cool. That's cool.
That's really cool. They're like, "Oh, mum, you're so international."
Yeah.
I mean, that is great.
I do
My
like those stats. Those stats are fun.
Yeah, those kind of stats are great, although I do want to get somebody in Antarctica listening to my music, maybe a
Y
penguin, but I'm not
Yeah.
yet. That would be epic, but yeah, it's
Penguins are picky, you know?
yeah. They're yeah, very, very picky, but, those are the stats that I like, and
Yeah.
the kids my kids love knowing about countries and flags and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
mum, you've got a listener in this such and such a country today, and or in you've got 20 in that country," it's like, "Whoa." It's like, "Oh, you got 200 in that one," and that brings me more joy to see them excited about that than any stat
Yeah.
could about streaming numbers, and obviously, of course, first and foremost, the messages
Oh,
when
yeah.
people have
The
said, "Oh,
feedback. Yeah.
yeah, I've managed to get support for my family member, and now they're doing really well."
Yeah. That's what it's all about. I mean, like, helping other people out, especially, like, with everything, yeah, going on out there and everything online, it's very easy to get distracted, and I have, like, a very, um I ha I compare myself to other people way too much. I'm getting a lot better at it, but like it's very easy to do that online now because you see people like, oh man, they got like this cool house, a car, like all these cool things, or they're traveling a lot, and like, man, why can't I do that? And like, um, I was talking about it actually. Believe it was I was talking to somebody yesterday about gratitude, and it was yesterday or the day before, but and how important it is, and how it plays a huge factor in my life. Like the more like I appreciate the things that I do have and the things that are going well, the things that are, good in my life, the better I'm going to feel. If I keep
It
just
Yeah.
dwelling and thinking about, oh, what if that, and like it's really easy for me to do that with like when it comes to like relationships and stuff because I'm 35 and I'm not married. I don't have any kids,
Mhm.
and I live in the Midwest in the United States. And if you live in the Midwest and you're like my age and don't have kids, like people look at you kind of funny because they're like,
Why? Yeah, well, that's odd.
no, it's well not like everybody, but I'm just saying like it's just very normal here to like settle down, have
Oh,
kids at a really young age,
right. Oh,
uh,
right, okay.
in the Midwest, and that was like when I was growing up, that was the plan. obviously we know plans don't always work.
Yeah.
Um, and now I don't know, I have a different perspective on things, and yeah, sometimes I do find myself like looking at like, oh man, they got the wife, they got the kids, they got the picket fence, all that bullshit, you know.
Mhm.
And it's easy for me to feel like I'm missing out on something. Uh, but then at the same time, I'm like, I have the opportunity and the freedom to do a bunch of this creative stuff that, I wouldn't have time for if I was trying to, you know, be a father, be a
Yeah,
husband,
exactly.
and do all that stuff. So I'm like, I have, you know, there's a lot of benefits to that. Like, yeah, there's some loneliness that deals with that. That's where the creativity comes in. Um, if I bring in the creativity to that, um, it yeah, like writing a joke about it, or I've been doing a better job at like using my phone for what it's like actually for, calling people.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely more of a texter
Oh
than
yeah, I like
phone
texting, but
because
yeah.
yeah, but because I really I don't know why, I just didn't want to didn't want to speak to people, but I make sure that I speak to people more.
Yes. It's very important.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people, especially, I mean, you're raising kids right now, that it's a weird time where communication is, I feel like, the worst it's ever been. In the fact that, let me back that up. It's the worst it's ever been, but we also have a million different ways to communicate
Mhm.
um, when it comes to the internet and technology. But there seems to be like this gap, like when I'm like hanging out with people like in person and having conversations, or having people over for coffee or tea or whatever,
Mhm.
um doesn't seem to be as big of a thing as it was, because we're so easily distracted
Yeah.
by technology and communicating online. Like, I don't know how it is in the UK, but I've talked to a lot of my friends have kids, and they were I was talking to my cousin about it actually, and he was like, "Yeah, they just they just come home from school, they don't leave the house, and they just play video games, and they talk to all their friends online, like through like Discord or through whatever,
Mm.
and that's the way they like hang out. They don't like go over to each other's house and hang out anymore." I'm like, that blows my mind, but that's just the way it is now, and just being able to pick up the phone and take a call, like, um, and talk to somebody and have a conversation like we're doing now. This is therapeutic for me. Like
Mm.
being able to talk to somebody and have a conversation, meet somebody new, learn some things, and get out of my own head is it's such a simple thing, but it's so much easier to just be like, just text somebody. I can just text somebody real quick, and or send an email or whatever it is. I run into that problem at work. Like sometimes I have to have a really tough conversation. I'm like, oh, I could just send an email. I'm like, nah, I should probably meet with this person and talk to him one on one.
Yeah, and it's funny what you said earlier, Colin, about how in your job you're very good at communicating with people. So
Hmm.
when I need to communicate with people, adults, parents, I get really, really anxious, but
Hmm.
I'm better at it than I think.
Yep.
I think being quite a, I like to say, kind and caring person who genuinely cares about people,
Yeah.
generally cares about, like you said, the opinions of the people you're talking to.
Hmm.
And I think being a teacher, having my own kids helps me personally because I was saying to my husband this morning, we were having this conversation about um, kids that say that my dog ate my homework
Yeah.
or sister drew over my homework. It does happen. it does happen. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen these, like, homework things and, like, so and so's sisters drawn all over it with
Yeah.
crayon, and I think it's that understanding of 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 sympathizing and getting it, and I think I'm pretty good at that.
Mhm.
Never thought I was for a long time, but like you were saying, it's like, "Huh, I'm alright. I'm
Yeah,
okay at that."
we don't give us we don't give ourselves enough credit, and yeah, that's a recurring theme with me and my therapist. She's like, "Hey, you you realize like you got a lot done and you did this and did that," and I'm like, because I tried to discount everything.
Mm.
It's so easy just to discredit everything and just be like, whatever. Like, but and that's like, no, I need to take the time to be like proud of myself. And like, there's a difference between being proud of yourself and being like arrogant and cocky.
Yeah. Oh, massively, yeah, but I think a lot of people worry that people might think that they are being arrogant,
I
but
do.
people know though, that's the thing. People know when people are being arrogant, and people know when they're just proud. You can just
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You can tell the difference. But yeah, obviously, you're like, what are people going to think if I
Mm.
do this,
Oh,
or do
yeah, no, I
that?
get that as well.
Yeah. Well, we're getting at time. Like I said, I can ramble. So, and get off topic and go all over the place.
Yeah.
But
It's nearly 10:30 here, so I should
yeah, you're probably getting tired, and I'm
Yeah.
just like I need to get out of my house because that's another thing is like I have to like get out in the because that's another thing with like working from home. Like
Mm.
I don't really have to leave my house that much, and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
you
no,
know
I
you,
get
you can get groceries delivered and get food delivered. Like I could go without leaving my house, but I need to leave my house
that.
and interact with people and be around people or just getting fresh air in general. It's a little cold, but um, is it cold there too?
Rainy is
Rainy.
it's not too cold, actually. I think it's about 9, 10 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's rainy. I think it's rained most days in January, but the UK is known for being rainy, but it's
Rain.
way more rainy than normal.
That's our Seattle. Like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Seattle's rainy. That area. Um, but yeah, before we wrap up here, I've been trying to ask this question when I can, when I remember to ask it, and if like somebody's listening right now and they're really struggling and they don't know what to do, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. Like if you had somebody reach out and ask for help, like what was be the first thing you would say to somebody that is reaching out for help that really does want to, make a change, but they just don't know how to do it.
I think the first thing I would say is, "I hear you, and I understand," because in my life, so many times I felt that people don't understand,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons why I wrote the album, was so that maybe just one person, or a few more than one person, could understand that OCD and mental ill health isn't necessarily what you think it is. So if somebody reached out to me, I'd be like, I understand. I
Yeah.
get it. I think that's the main thing. I think understanding goes a long way. And then it's ways that you can get the help, seeking professional help. Like when I got that message and I was able to signpost that person to professionals. I mean, they didn't know the type of professionals that you needed to contact.
Mhm.
And I think having that knowledge really helped. So, yeah, saying things like, I hear you, I understand, here's where you can get help.
Validating. Validation.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. So many people just, like you said at the beginning, so many people brush it off and say, oh, it's just quirky.
Yeah.
I mean, it was yeah, it's been a rocky road, and in the early days especially, horrendous. I think absolutely horrific, and the last thing you want is when you are feeling so low to be told by somebody, "Uh, it's not that bad, is it?" Because
Yeah, that's the
there
worst.
there's always somebody. This is another thing that winds me up. You start. I mean, I know it's late, but you've started something off now.
That's later for you.
It's like when people says something like, "There's always somebody worse off than you."
True.
I totally get that, and it's absolutely fair enough, but I think what happens when some people say that is that they are indirectly saying, "So, sort it out," you know, "Stop whinging about it. Stop moaning. You should just snap out of it."
Yeah.
It's not as easy as that.
Yeah. It's yeah, that phrase is very dangerous,
Yeah, agreed.
but I understand it at the same time,
Yeah.
and
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there it is validate it is, yeah,
it's
validated.
relevant
Yeah.
in certain situations, like when you're complaining, like, "Oh, I only have like $1,000 in my bank account," and like, yeah, but I have a house and like food,
Mm.
and like think about it like stuff like that, like then it makes sense. But when you're thinking about like doom and gloom, like OCD stuff, and you're like, "Oh, somebody else has it better," like, nah, that doesn't work. It is, it's not the right approach. So, well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, and I know it's a lot later there than it is here. But I appreciate you being flexible and being able to reschedule and having a good conversation. Definitely will stay connected.
Yeah.
I will let you know once the episode is ready to air. I've kind of been recording, like I've like this is the third one I have that in a row that's not out yet.
Okay.
So I kind of have some stockpiled.